Hi, welcome to Amigos Code. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to use Twilio and Spring Boot to send SMSs. So basically, we're going to do something like this. So basically, you can see that we can send SMSs using code, and Twilio allows us to do that. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to use their API to build an application where you're going to be able to expose an endpoint and have clients sending a request where they want to send an SMS. In the actual payload, clients have to specify the destination number as well as the message. Without further ado, let's dive into it.
Alright, so let's go ahead and integrate Twilio with Spring Boot. So Twilio basically allows you to send SMSs, video, WhatsApp, and basically you can see right here. So they give you the ability to send SMSs, programmable voices, video, Twilio API for WhatsApp, and other things. But basically, when sometimes you get these automated SMSs, then most likely Twilio is being used to send those SMSs. And in this video, you're going to learn how to build an app that does that. So go ahead and navigate to twilio.com, and basically we can get a free API that we can use for testing purposes. So go ahead to twilio.com and then go ahead to sign up, and then go ahead and pretty much just enter your name and last name. So I'm going to say amigos and then code and then test. And the email is amigoscode and then test@gmail.com. Go ahead and pick a password and then get started. And there we go. So now we have to verify our phone number, or actually our identity, by using the phone number. And make sure that you use your real phone number, because otherwise it won't work. So we need to verify our identity to be able to send and receive messages using the test API. So I'm going to go ahead and add my phone number, and you can see that you can pick your country code as well as the actual phone number. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with UK, and then the phone number will be, there we go. So obviously you can't see my phone number, but go ahead and add your phone number. And right here, you can see that I'm actually recording my screen. So you see that we will get an SMS very soon. So now I'm going to click on this checkbox and then verify. There we go. So now you can see that I did get an SMS. So I'm going to open that up, and there we go. So you can see my verification code. So I'm going to enter that 04 and then 65. Submit. And there we go. So now we have to answer, these questions. So do you write code? Go ahead and say yes, or you can skip directly to the dashboard. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to skip. So basically, they want to gather, information about you, basically. And there we go. So just give it a second. It's loading. And ta-da! So now we are inside of the Twilio dashboard. And if I remove that, you can see that we have a trial balance of $15.50. And then we have the account seed plus the auth token. And this is what we're going to use to connect to Twilio's API in a second. So we also need to get a trial number. And this is the number that it is used as the sender. So go ahead and get this trial number. And it's going to random generate a number. And you can see the number right here. And if you don't like this number, go ahead and search for a different number. So basically this number right here, so you can see that it says this number can receive incoming calls and make outgoing, and also can send and receive text messages from mobile numbers. So go ahead and choose this number. And now we have to fill address information. So go ahead and fill yours. And that's it. So now we have our phone number right here. So you can see that this is the phone number, and you can see that they also are telling us that trial accounts are allowed only one Twilio number. To purchase additional numbers, please upgrade your account. So this is more than enough for testing purposes. Now I'm going to go ahead and press done. And this is everything that we have to do in order to configure Twilio. So now we need to write a Spring Boot application that uses this trial number, the account SID, and then the auth token. So basically using these three pieces of information, we can then write some code that will trigger some SMSs. So go ahead and navigate to Spring Initializer, and this website allows you to bootstrap your application. So we're going to generate a project with Maven. So right here, Maven, and then Java, but you can go ahead and pick Kotlin, Groovy, and then the Spring Boot version, make sure it's anything above 2.0. So go ahead and try and pick the same version if you see, otherwise just stick with a higher version because it will also work. Now go ahead and leave this information right here, so the project metadata as it is, and click on the switch to the full version link. And basically right here, I'm going to be changing the Java version to 11. So I'm using Java 11, but if you're using Java 8, this will also work. So now what I need to do is pick some dependencies. So right here, you can see that there is a huge list of dependencies, but the one for this video will be the web. So this allows us to write full stack web applications with Tomcat and Spring MVC. So now go ahead and generate a project. And if you want to learn more about Spring Boot, go ahead and check my channel for a Spring Boot tutorial. So I'm going to open this demo.zip folder, and it's in my desktop. So I'm going to unzip this. And there we go. I'm going to delete this zip folder. And there we go. So now we have this demo application right here. So let me actually call it demo and then Twilio. And for this video, I'm going to be using IntelliJ, which is by far the best IDE. And if you've never used IntelliJ, go ahead and check also my video on how to download, install, and configure IntelliJ for Java developers. So go ahead and open. And also, so if you are using any other IDE, this will also work. So go ahead and open up the actual folder. So inside of this demo Twilio, there is a file called pom.xml. So this is what we need. So I'm going to open that and then open as project. And there we go. So you can see that Maven is doing its thing to resolve the dependencies, and that's done. So now you can see that we have this folder called demo. If you open that up, you see that we have this pom.xml, and basically this is the dependency that we've picked from the Spring Initializer right here. So Spring Boot starter web, and also by default it comes with this starter test for writing integration tests. So now let's go ahead and add the Twilio dependency into our project. So go ahead and open up any web browser and go ahead to twilio.com docs libraries and then Java. And right here you can see that they have this Java helper library. And this is a Java client that allows us to automate SMSs. So right here you can see that they have the Maven dependency. So if I close this, so you can see that we can grab this dependency right here. So the version for me is 7.34.0, and make sure to pick the same version as me to make sure you complete this tutorial without any problems. So go ahead and grab the actual dependency, go back to IntelliJ, and then after the Spring Boot starter test, paste that in. Just give it a second, enable auto imports, and now IntelliJ is resolving the dependencies, and there we go. So now we have the actual Twilio dependency, and we can use some of the classes provided by their API. Now let's go ahead and write our application that allows clients to send a post request to our server and then pretty much send an SMS to a given phone number. So let's go ahead and open up source, and then inside of source open up main, and then inside of main open up resources. So right here, go ahead and delete this applications.property, and let's go ahead and create a new file. And by the way, I'm using Presentation Assistant, and this allows you to see all the keyboard shortcuts that I'm actually typing, because when I use IntelliJ, I don't use the actual mouse quite a lot, so I know all the keyboard shortcuts, and this allows me to be very fast and efficient when writing code. And I do recommend you to learn the keyboard shortcuts for long-term benefit. So let's go ahead and create a file called application.yaml. And basically we could have used the applications.property, but I prefer the YAML syntax. So now inside of this application.yaml, let's go ahead and define Twilio property files. So first we need to type Twilio. So this will be the actual root. And then right here, we're going to have the account and then underscore SID. We also will have the auth token. So auth and then token. And then we will also have the send, or actually, let's go back to Twilio. So go back to the actual console, and then you can see that we have this trial number. So let's call it trial number. And in fact, just let me grab that here. Command C, go back to IntelliJ. This will be trial and then underscore number. And now I'm going to paste that in. Let me go ahead and do the same for account SID. So I'm going to copy that. Go back to IntelliJ, paste that in with a space there. And then we need the auth token. So go back to Twilio and then copy, go back to IntelliJ and then paste that in. So this is everything that we need to have for configuration. Now let's go ahead and create a class that reads these properties and allows us to inject them in other classes and use these properties. So go ahead and open up Java, and inside of Java you have com.example.demo, and then inside you have this demo application. So right here, so this is the main method, and this is how Spring Boot applications get started. So now go ahead and create a new class, and let's go ahead and create a new class. So this will be class, and call it Twilio configuration, and then OK. Now let's go ahead and annotate this class with @configuration, so Spring Boot knows that this needs to be instantiated as a bean for dependency injection. We also need to say and then configuration properties, and this guy takes a prefix, and the prefix is Twilio. So I'm going to explain this in a second, what we're doing. So basically this Twilio right here is this one right here, so this one. So now what we need to do is to create 3 fields that Spring Boot will use to get these properties right here into our class. So these have to be private, and we can't simply say final because this class needs some setters for setting the values from the config file. So let's go ahead and say private and then string account and then SID. So right here, because the SID property, so this guy right here is underscore, we have to have camel case, right? Account and then SID. So then we also have private and then string auth and then token, and we also have private string and then trial number. There we go. All right, so now let's go ahead and create an empty constructor. So public and then Twilio configuration. So this will be empty constructor, and let's go ahead and create some getters and setters. So I'm going to press Control Enter, and then getter and setters, select all of those, and there we go. So basically this class needs to have setters, so these setters, so that these values right here, so the application.yaml, so account sid, so this value will be passed inside of this field right here by using this setter. The same for the auth token as well as the trial number. So now let's go ahead and use this configuration file and initialize our connection to the Twilio API. So let's go ahead and create a new class, and we're going to call this as Twilio Initializer, and then enter. And this will also be at configuration, so at and then configuration. And what we need is to inject the Twilio configuration class, so private final and then string, or actually sorry, not string, but Twilio configuration. And then I'm going to press option and then enter, add to constructor, and then auto wire. So basically this is using dependency injection. So if you're not sure about dependency injection, go ahead and check my video on dependency injection where I explain the benefits of using it. So now let's go ahead and right after we pretty much just inject the Twilio configuration, let's go ahead and say Twilio, and right here we're going to say init. So this is how we initialize the connection to Twilio API. So go ahead and say init, and inside you can see that it takes a username and a password, and both must not be null. So if I go back to Twilio docs, so right here, so in this helper, if I scroll down, you can see that this is how we initialize. So we have to say Twilio init, and then the username is the account sid, and then the password is the auth token. So let's go ahead and do that now. So go back to IntelliJ, and now the account sid will come from the property file. So Twilio configuration.get account sid, and then the password will be Twilio configuration.get auth token. So also let's go ahead and add a logger. So private final and then static, and then this will be logger, and make sure that you use the org.slaf4j. So I'm going to pick that one, and then logger equals to, and then logger factory, and then dot, and then get logger, and then Twilio class, or actually Twilio initializer.class. And right here, let's simply go ahead and have a log message. So logger dot and then info, and then let's simply say that Twilio initialized, and then dot 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 with account sid, and then pass the account sid. So go ahead and pretty much just say Twilio and then configuration dot get account sid. And basically I'm only doing this so that you can see that we are getting the correct value. But in essence, you'd never log your API credentials. And this is pretty much all we need to do for this class. And I've just spotted that I've got a typo there. So this should be initializer. And there we go. So now let's go ahead and open up demo application and try and run the app to make sure that we are connecting to Twilio's API successfully. So go ahead and play. So run demo application. Give it a second. And there we go. So now we should see our log message. And fair enough. So Twilio right here, initialize with account sid. And this is the account sid right here. So ending in BE. And if I go to Twilio, and then if I show you again, my account sid. So this is the one. So we successfully connected to Twilio's API. Now let's go ahead and write the logic to use the API to send some SMSs. So what I'm going to do is go back to IntelliJ, and I'm going to stop the application for now. Close this. And let's go ahead and pretty much define an interface that will be used to send SMSs. So go ahead and say SMS and then sender, and change this from a class to an interface. And this will have one method, void send SMS, and this will take an SMS and then request. and let's call this SMS request. So basically we don't have this class, so let's go ahead and create this class. So I'm going to press Option and then enter, create class, and then OK, and there we go. So now if someone wants to send a request, so if someone wants to send an SMS, they have to provide the phone number, so private final and then string phone and then number, and let's also have the actual message, so string and then message. So this will be the destination phone number, and this is the actual message. So let me go ahead and add these two constructor and also add some getters. So control enter and then getters, and there we go. And also we can go ahead and add toString, so toString and then OK. And now if I go back to our interface, so right here, so you can see that the error went away, and we have this one interface with this send SMS that allows any implementation to send an SMS. So let's go ahead and create the Twilio implementation of this. And the reason why I do have an interface is because you can then switch providers without changing code. And basically all you have to do really is just change one line, and then you can switch between implementations. And I'm going to show you this in a second what I mean. So go ahead and create another class, and this will be Twilio SMS and then sender. And then this guy implements SMS and then sender. There we go. So now we have to implement the method send SMS, and there we go. So basically this class right here, so we have to annotate with at and then service, so that Spring initializes this class. And now we need to have a way to send SMSs. So to send an SMS with Twilio's API, we have to use this message, and make sure that it's this one right here. So Twilio.REST API v2010.account, and then dot and then creator. So the creator method takes a couple arguments, but the one that we are interested in is the second one, where we pass the to phone number and from number, and then the actual body, which is the message. So let's go ahead and define these. So new and then phone number, and then the phone number will come from SMS request dot get phone number. We also have to get the from number, so new and then phone number, and this we're going to fill this in a second. And then we also have the actual body, so SMS request dot and then get message. So now we have this message creator, and if I extract this to a variable, so we have message creator like that. And let me also extract this to a variable, so to that as well, the from number and then the actual body, so the message. And if I put this in one line like so, and now we need to grab the from phone number. And remember, inside of our configuration we have the trial phone number, so let's go ahead and use that. So private final and then Twilio configuration, and we're going to inject this guy again, so auto wired. And now we can say Twilio configuration dot and then get trial number. So now we have this creator right here, and what we need to do is simply say creator dot and then create, and this pretty much sends the actual SMS. So now obviously you could do some validation right here. So basically we could go ahead and say if and then is phone number valid, and then say SMS request get phone number. So if that's the case, what we're going to do is send this. Otherwise, we can pretty much just throw, for example, a custom HTTP response, or throw an illegal argument exception. So let's go ahead and throw an illegal argument exception. So throw, and then new illegal argument exception, and then pass the message. So phone number, and then plus, and then SMS request dot get phone number plus, and then end that like that. Space is not a valid number, just like that. So if I pretty much just put this on a new line so you can see exactly what we're doing, and there we go. So now we need to create this guy right here. So create this method that returns a boolean, and for now let's simply go ahead and say that this returns true, right? So I'm going to leave a to-do right here for you to implement this, and you could use, for example, Google's own library to validate phone numbers. So to-do implement phone number validator, and there we go. So also let me go ahead and have a log line right here. So private static, and then final logger, and then logger equals to logger factory dot get logger, and then let's also go ahead and say that logger dot info sent SMS, and then plus, and then what we're going to do is actually pass the SMS request. So obviously we need to pass like that, and there we go. So now we have this service called Twilio SMS Sender that is capable of sending SMSs. So now what we need to do is actually create another service. So this service, so let's simply call it service, and this will be at and then service, and this will actually inject the Twilio SMS service. So inject Twilio SMS, or actually SMS sender, and I'm going to add to constructor auto wire, and now let's go ahead and say public void send and then SMS, and then simply pass the SMS request, and then simply invoke the Twilio SMS sender. So Twilio SMS sender dot and then send SMS, and then pass the actual request, and there we go. So now the last thing that we have to create is the actual HTTP resource, or the actual controller. So I'm going to go ahead and create a class, and then call this as the controller, and right here we have to annotate with at and then rest controller, and then at request, and then mapping, and this will be API and then version 1 and then SMS, and right here let's have an endpoint that clients can hit and send SMSs. So public and then void and then send SMS, and we're going to receive the SMS request like that, and then we need to pretty much just invoke our service. So private and then final and then service, and then this will be auto wired again, and what we need to do is simply invoke the send message. So service dot and then send SMS request, and there we go. So now there are a couple of things that we have to do, and that is to make sure that this method is used as a post request. We have to annotate with at and then post mapping, and then we have to say that this SMS request, we will get it from the request and then body. And now I need to open up SMS request and then annotate these two fields inside of the constructor with @ and then JSON property. And basically these are the properties that the client will send. So phone number, and then @ JSON property, and then this will be message. And there we go. So I'm going to show you exactly how this works in a second. So if I go back, you can see that we get the request body, and we can also validate the actual payload. So I'm going to go back to SMS request, and I'm going to say that this phone number has to be not blank. So i.e., if someone sends a blank value, we're not allowing blank phone numbers to be sent from the controller. So now this will be the same, @not blank, and there we go. So now to activate these, go back to the actual controller, and then before request mapping, say @ and then valid. There we go. And now this makes sure that when we get this SMS request, both phone number and SMS, they must not be blank, otherwise it will blow. So this is pretty much everything that we have to do. And if I open up the Twilio SMS sender right here, so right here you see that we have this Twilio SMS sender, and it implements this SMS sender. So let's go ahead and tag this guy as Twilio. So Twilio. And when we inject this SMS sender, so inside of this service right here, we have to use @ and then qualifier. And basically this will be the actual Twilio implementation. And right here, instead of saying Twilio SMS sender, simply say SMS and then sender. And let me rename this to SMS sender, all of that as well. And now it looks a lot better, because now we are simply using this interface right here, and we can choose between implementations. So in our case, we have this Twilio SMS sender. For example, if you had some other provider, all you had to do was to create this same class right here, extend SMS sender, and then name it, right here. And if you wanted to change the actual provider, you don't have to change any code. So all you have to do is change to your new and then provider, right? So we have Twilio, and we're going to stick with Twilio for this video. And pretty much this is everything that we have to do in order to send SMSs. Now the most exciting bit is to test it. So let's go ahead and run the application, and you can see everything is up and running. We have Twilio initialized correctly, and then we have that Tomcat started on port 8080. And if you remember correctly, in our controller, this is the actual path. So API, V1, and then SMS. So for this video, I'm going to be using this REST client called Postman. So if I open that up and collapse that, and then as well this, and let me get my phone on the right hand side so you can see exactly what we're doing. There we go. So now let's go ahead and send a post request. So basically this client allows you to perform like get requests, post, put, delete, and all kind of other things. So we are using this because we don't have, for example, an Android app or an iOS app or even a web app that connects to our backend. So basically this is a client that allows us to do that. So I'm going to send a post request to localhost and then port 8080 and then /API and then V1 and then SMS. So localhost 8080. So you saw the port right here. So this is the port, and then the path is API V1 SMS. So if I close this and then go to body and then raw And right here, let's go ahead and send a JSON to our server. So this is what our server is expecting. And then we need the actual payload. So let's go ahead and say this will be phone number, and make sure that you are sending to your phone number, right? So I'm going to add my phone number and then the actual message. And this will be hello world with Spring Boot and Twilio. And that's it. So now if I unlock my phone and then let's go ahead and send. So let's send the SMS. And there we go. So you can see that we got a 200 status code, and fair enough, you can see that we've got a new notification with the actual message. So if I go that, and you can see that we have the SMS and the phone number, right? So remember, the from phone number is if I go to Twilio, and right here you can see that this phone number is the same one as the one I've just received. So now if I go ahead and open up the SMS, so I'm going to click on the actual notification, and there we go. So you can see that it says sent from your Twilio trial account, hello world with Spring and Twilio. And this is awesome. So we can even send emojis. So go ahead and say copy and then paste emoji. So there is a link right here. So if you search for this and click on the very first link and pretty much just get any emoji. So I'm going to get this one, copy, go back to Postman, paste that in. And in fact, I didn't copy it correctly. So I'm going to grab that, copy, go back to Postman, paste, and then I'm going to say with and then emoji, and then send. There we go. And you can see that we got a second message with our emoji. And in fact, let me just go ahead and change this so you can see exactly again. So hello, how are you? And then let me have this kiss right here. So copy that, so this emoji, and then go back to Postman, paste that in, and then if I unlock my phone so you can see exactly what we're doing, and then send. There we go. You see that we got a third message right there with a different emoji and a different message. And this is pretty much how you use Twilio API with Spring Boot to send SMSs. So obviously you can do a lot more than just SMSs with Twilio API, but I just thought that this is a very cool API that you should be using in your applications in case you need to send SMSs.
Alright, so if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click on the thumbs up because this really helps me and it makes me happy, to be honest, when I see many likes. And basically, if you want to download the source code, go ahead and check on the link below where I've got a GitHub repository with the entire source code for this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel to get more videos like this. Also, follow me on my Instagram where the community is growing. And if you have any questions or any other videos that you would like me to do similar to this one, go ahead and drop me a message. Otherwise, join me in the next one. See ya.